So if you know anything about me in this channel, you know that I'm hopelessly romantic for GM cars, especially mid-2000s GM cars. Bonus points if they're from a defunct brand. This is a 2005 GMC Envoy. I think it's the base model. The Envoy's kind of like a Trailblazer. They made a lot of different variants of this chassis. GMC specifically had the Envoy that's like this. They had the Envoy XL that had the third row of seats. And then they had the Envoy XUV, where this back window could like go up, kind of like a tonneau cover, and turn it into a open bed SUV. Thought this was black when I went to go look at it. I'm pretty sure it's actually cyber gray metallic, which is a Corvette color. If you look, it's got almost like a blue flake to it. It's kind of hard to tell. Really glows in the sunlight. So, how did I end up with this? My girlfriend and I have always wanted to build a microcamper. You know, in a van or a minivan or a Sprinter van. When I bought the truck, it had the camper shell on the back. And I told her, I wasn't really joking, I told her we could go camping in it. Upon the realization that the truck is never going to make it up a mountain, let alone to a ski resort or anywhere we would want to camp, I sold the camper shell, and she was very disappointed by that. I came across the idea of building a micro camper from a Subaru Forester, and so I started looking at Subaru Foresters on Craigslist and on Copart, and I found that if you want to get like a mid-2000s Subaru Forester with a cracked head gasket and an oil leak, it's still $7,000. And I found a lot on Copart with like hail damage or bumper damage or stuff that was easily repairable, and those were also like $10,000. So I set a Craigslist search, any car that had all-wheel drive, less than 125,000 miles, and was less than $8,000. I got a notification one day that this was available. Off to the races. It has that like GMC smell on the inside of those cars, but overall, pretty clean condition. Has 113,000 miles. The couple that owned it towed it behind their camper. You can see the front tow hooks there. Unfortunately, that means the mileage is probably like double what it actually is. It has an inline six, the Vortec 4200, one of the least popular GM engines ever. You could get these with the LS or whatever version of the LS came in a Trailblazer. Those are a lot harder to find. Oh, there we go. You can kind of see the blue flake from here. Helps if I unlock it. Rear temperature controls. The best part about this as a micro camper, so the seats split. You got your tire iron and jack. The headrest goes down, and then this lays flat. We're still figuring out what we want to do in the back. We'll probably leave it like this. Maybe build a small platform for sleeping on, buy a roof rack, and then use this to go skiing. But long term, we may pull both seats out entirely and make the back of this into more like a full-time camper. Again, this just has the standard back, but it's honestly pretty big inside. It's a lot bigger than a Forester would be, so we're pretty jazzed about it. I'm a little ashamed at how much I love driving this car. Probably my favorite feature is the pop-up back window. Yeah, everything works. May or may not be a lemon. It has really good service records. I assume because they were towing it behind the camper, the couple that owned it, pretty religiously had it maintained at a GMC dealer. So there's a lot of service records from the last couple of years. I can't decide if that means, it's a lemon. But it runs. I haven't found any problems yet. The only issue that I'm diagnosing is it doesn't really always want to start, and the battery seems like it's going. Service records say the battery and the charging system were serviced a year ago. Maybe it needs a new battery. We're going to take some measurements and find out. But I'll start it up. Something about trucks, I don't know. It's got the battery gauge, temperature gauge, oil pressure gauge. It's got a little bit of a whistle that goes away once it warms up. But like I said, I'm pretty ashamed at how much I love this car. So in what is now a running trope with my GM cars, the batteries are really hard to get to. On this, we have to remove this like strut brace thing. And then there's actually a battery cover over the battery. And then the leads are on the backside. We're going to check battery voltage when the car is running, just to see, if the alternator is definitely dead or not. And then, we're going to buy a new battery after all that. On the Sky, you actually have to take either the fender or the wheel and the inner wheel well out to get to the battery. That's because I assume on the Sky they wanted a really low center of gravity. I don't know what their reasoning is for the Envoy, but it's just a running joke now. Okay, so with the engine on, it's reading, 14.7 volts, which is good. That means that the alternator is charging the battery. It could be that we still have a dud of a battery and it's just not taking the charge. We're gonna hook it up to the battery tender. So a little bit of good, Jesus Christ. So a little bit of good news for once. The date code on the battery is 9/20/20. Batteries last, 5 years, something like that. So I guess it's not surprising that this one's dead. We know that the alternator is working because it was charging it at 14 volts. I got it hooked up to the battery tender. Maybe it comes back to life. Maybe we go get a new one. But feeling good. So step one, fix all the broken stuff, is complete. I've been driving it every day, trying to see what else is wrong with it, and I haven't broken anything yet. Meanwhile, the Chevy left me stranded on the side of the road, so this thing's coming pretty handy for Home Depot runs. This is what I've started mocking up for the bed platform in the back. It's basically a frame of 2x4s or 1x3s, whichever's cheaper, that I'll then build a plywood platform on top of. This front section will lift up on a piano hinge, so will this back section. The idea is that you can store stuff underneath them. Maybe someday this will be like a drawer slide that comes out the back, but for now we're keeping it simple. This center section will be permanently mounted, but then there's these little removable hatches. They just sit on these little bosses. We can stuff clothes and stuff under there. For now, it just stands on these legs. These are longer because I'm assuming I'm going to remove the back seats entirely, but I'm not really sure I'm going to do that. So this is just what I'm thinking for right now. I based the dimensions off this folding mattress from Target. It's a twin, so it'll be a little cozy with 2 people, but it's a start. I like it because it folds up so we can just kick it out of the way when we're not sleeping on it. Someday I'd like to make one that folds the other way like a futon. You can kind of crouch on it like a couch, but I think the Envoy is too short to actually do that, so we're going with this for now. Technically the platform is only 62 or 63 inches long, so I'll either fold up this top section like a pillow or just cut it off entirely. Plus, look at how versatile this thing is. You can use it as a couch. It can sit idly in the foreground while you doodle on your walls with chalk. And you can do acrobatics with it. So versatile.
So this all started because I saw a YouTube video where Doug DeMuro talks about how the Honda Element is like rapidly increasing in price because everybody wants to build campers with them. I started looking into it, and there's this really strong community of people building parts for Element campers. People make rooftop tents for them, like you go through the sunroof or cut a hole in the roof. People jack them up, they put snorkels on them. They get really into it. And every single one of them shows you how they have this modified front seat spinner where they can spin the seat around like it's a little camper. The Elements have a fully flat floor and it's rubberized so you can like hose it out. It's a really good platform. Unfortunately, in LA, everybody has caught on to this, and it's really hard to get one for like less than $7,000 or less than 350,000 miles. And they don't really have four-wheel drive. They don't have four-wheel drive, but the all-wheel drive is not the best platform. So then we were looking at Subaru. Then we were looking at a Subaru Forester as a base. Again, people jack these up. They put big tires on them, put rooftop tents, snorkels, suicide jacks, all kinds of stuff. They cut the bumpers off and put little winch bumpers on. I thought these were cool until I looked up the price of Subaru Foresters and was shocked at how well they hold the resale value even when they don't work. And while Subarus are known for having really good all-wheel drive, again, it's all-wheel drive, not full-time four-wheel drive. So I came across the GMC Envoy and I was like, well, this is cheap enough for me to buy just to go to Mammoth so I don't have to get out of the car. Overland. So I don't have to get out of the car to put chains on our Civic and take my life into my hands driving that thing around. And I started to really like the look of some of these cars. The other nice thing about the Envoy, besides that it has full-time four-wheel drive, like 4 high, 4 low, and an electronic all-wheel drive option, it's also body on frame. So what that means is most cars are unibody. So the body and the frame are welded together into one piece. This is body on frame, which means that the body is separate from the frame like a truck. Now, that's cool because you can jack the suspension up. You can also jack the body up. And so really, it's just a better platform for overlanding. And I think step 3 might be building one of these with like a welded bumper with a winch and tow hooks. I don't know. I haven't decided. I was excited when I bought it because I thought I could immediately buy some steel rims and some off-road all-terrain tires and kind of begin the conversion. But I was a little disappointed to find out it has like brand new snow tires on it. So for now, we're taking it in the snow as is while I plan out my next steps of what kind of bumper I'm either going to buy or fab myself. Ultimately, it's just kind of cool to have a truck or an SUV that you don't really care about because it was so cheap. You could just beat the crap out of it, cut the bumpers off, and do whatever you want without really fear of resale value or, messing up your main car. So yeah, let me know in the comments how stupid you think I'm being. And don't forget to like and subscribe to see how this thing turns out.